Hi everyone. So I'm going to walk you through how to make all the products that I used to make this card. For some reason when I'd coloured and then die cut all the So Smooth images from Lawn Fawn, I suddenly thought Tiki Hut. I don't know why, but I just suddenly thought Tiki Hut. So that's what I've tried to recreate here, with the, like, what would be the grass on the top of the little bar, the wooden bar on the beach. That's the idea. So I'm going to walk you through the products, and then I will speed through the colouring of the images and then putting the card together. So first of all, let's go stamp sets. This is the So Smooth from Lawn Fawn. It's a very cool stamp set. It's, I suppose, meant for like smoothies. I think that's the idea behind it. And so there's a variety of images, from the blender to the cocktails to the fruit. So this is great if you know someone who's a vegetarian or a vegan. You know, this is a great card to make for them, where you don't have, you know, like a barbecue set would have meat on it. You can make a you know, a specific, I can't say that word, a theme specific for someone who's into that sort of thing, or maybe someone who just enjoys lots of smoothies or something like that, or in this case loves tropical stuff like tropical drinks, you know, beaches, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that's the stamp set for today. I then have the, so then I used the Lawn Fawn Stitched Hillside borders, and this was to create this sand bit, so it looks like a bit of sand at the bottom there. And I turned the die so that I didn't actually have the stitching on it, so it was just a smooth cut line. So you can think about that with your dies as well. If you can flip them round, depending which way you've got them, will depend on whether you get a stitch line or not. So I think that's quite good, because you get twice as many uses out of something like that. So that's for the sand. For the, well, let's do it this way. So the little crab, if I bring him in, the little crab here, he comes from Lawn Fawn's palm trees. And to get, you'll see in the video, to get the eyes, because it just die cuts the eyes and the mouth, I just put a piece of black cardstock behind that so that it closes it, so that it looks like there's actually, he's got eyes, if that makes sense. So the background won't show through it. Right, so then in the background there's some stenciling that I've done. So there's some clouds here, and there's this like ray of sunshine in the background. So to do that, I used Lawn Fawn Spring Showers, and there's 3 different size, you can't see them in there, but there's 3 different size clouds. So I just cut these out using some masking paper. You can use post-it notes if they've got sticky all the way on the back. You wouldn't want to use one that's only got it on the one edge, you know, like a, oh, okay. Where was I? Right, so the, I created some masks with the Spring Showers cloud dies. They're yellow now, but you'll see why when we get to the video bit. And I cut all 3 sizes. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, or whether I was going to use one or the other, or, you know, what size I wanted to use. I ended up using all 3, so that was quite cool. And also I kept them, when I cut them out, the back didn't completely cut through, although it probably will pop out. So I can actually keep these. And you could keep them anyway. You could just stick them, say, inside, but in the back of your, in fact I'll do it now, I'll just shove them in there, and then they're ready for the next time I want to use them. So that's that die there. This die set, I am in love with this, and I may have to get, there is a larger version. This is Waffle Flower's A2 layers die set. There's like a billion, not really a billion. I think there's 14, is it 14? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 dies in here. If I've counted right. Yeah, I think, yeah. Anyway, and they are just a straight cut. There's no stitching, it's just a straight cut, and I actually really love this because you could create a background. You could do this with your stitch dies as well, but if you wanted something that's just a plain, as if you were cutting it yourself. The reason I love the dies for this sort of thing is that if you've created a background, maybe on a piece of cardstock or a background paper that isn't cut straight, you know, to start with, then trying to line that up in a paper trimmer for someone like me is kind of tricky. Like, I don't have a good eye for straight lines, which you guys probably already know that watching my videos. So to be able to just use the die and line it up and eyeball where I want the outside edge to be cut means that this is where things like this come in really, really handy. They're also really handy if you just want to have lots of layers on your cards. They're great for that too. So that's that die set. And this is the first one. I've never bought Waffle Flower anything, and I love it. Cuts really nice straight line. So I used the biggest one, which is the A2 size, so it'll fit an A2 card. Then I have the Stampin' Up's Wood Textures Designer Series paper. This is I believe a 6x6 paper stack, whatever you want to call it, and it's all different wood grain textures. So this is very cool if you don't have a wood grain stamp that you could create that look with. These types of papers are really handy to have and to keep. I think this might be as of, what are we in, April? Are we in April? We're still in April 2019. In fact, when the video goes up, it'll be May 2019, but I believe up until the end of May, I believe this is in the current catalogue, but I have no idea if it's going to be in the new one. But any wood grain type papers would work for this. Right, it's wood grain, that's the idea. If you've got a stamp, you can create your own. So that's the paper I used, and that was used for the I don't know how well you're going to pick it up here, this side, like the posts on top of the bar, and then I had the bar, and then I actually raised what would be the edge of the bar. Can't remember the sizing on this. I kind of just winged this because I didn't really know if it was even going to work out. So my bar is 4 inches and 4 inches by 2 inches, and then what is the edge of the bar, so this lip, if you like, of the bar is going to be 4 inches across, and this one measures 3/4 of an inch, and then each of the each of the I get, you know what I mean, the bits that would be on the, are they poles? I don't know. Anyway, these measure roughly, you can get in there, you could do probably about 3 inches that you could play with. 2 and 3/4 maybe by ½ an inch, and I've had 2 of these. So that's and I just guessed. I eyeballed the sizes. I didn't measure very precisely. I just kind of went, right, okay, I want it about that high, and I want the lip about this much, and I want the poles, you know, on the top to be about that wide, and that's how I did it. I didn't specifically sit down with a piece of paper and some measuring things and try and work out what the measurements would be. I just kind of ran with it because I didn't actually know how this was going to turn out. Then this Tiki bar, this thing, what would be the grass, that actually measures 4¼ by 1½, and this was kind of cool. This was definitely an experiment, but I was really chuffed with how it turned out. You can get scissors to I can't remember what they're called. They're not pinking shears, because that's different. But you do sometimes. There are some scissors out there that you can buy that will do like a section of this to give you this look. But I did them all by hand, and you'll see that in the video as we go on. Now the background piece that I cut using the dies, and the crab, the sand, as well as the grassy bit, I used some oh, what paper did I use? Oh, I used, I believe it was some Bristol smooth paper or card, just because I thought that might work quite well. It's a thinner paper, or cardstock, sorry. It's a De La Roni one, and I thought it would work quite well. Did I use that? I'm trying to see what colour it is on the back. I'm not sure now, but it is quite thin, so I'm imagining it must be in that one. Anyway, if you're gonna use any water with like I use distress inks and distress oxide inks, and if you're going to use them in their form, as in you're going to splatter them with water and stuff like that, then perhaps use a like a watercolor cardstock. I think this is Bristol because of the way it reacted when it was wet. It was either that or it was some Stampin' Up's Very Vanilla, or oh, it might have been Stampin' Up Very Vanilla. Gosh, I can't remember. Why did I not write this down? I just didn't. Anyway, whatever you're using. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a weird morning. Actually, I think this probably is Very Vanilla, because I thought the colour would lend itself more. Either way, if you use a water-based watercolor cardstock, then you'll have better results with your inks, like when you splash it with water, when you're using your oxides. But if not, then just give it some time to dry, but you should be fine. It doesn't really matter what colour it is, because we're going to ink it to colour it, so that's by the by, so ignore the waffle. Anyway, so I then used, for the Raise the Sun in the background, I used the MFT's Radiating Rays stencil. Can you see that on here? There you go. And I just, again, you'll see in the next bit, I sort of eyeballed where I needed the sun. I wanted it to look like half of the sun, so it was kind of like a rising sun, if that makes sense. That was the idea anyway. You can't see it too much, but it's there. So, yeah, by the time you've put everything on here, you know, you can't really see it an awful lot. Then the inks that I used some VersaFine Onyx Black ink for the sentiment, and I do have a sentiment on the inside and some leftovers at the bottom there. When I stamped the images, I actually used an alcohol ink friendly ink. And I believe it was the Memento Tuxedo Black. And then these are the colours that I used for the various things on the card. So Candied Apple is, I'll bring the card in. Candied Apple was my little crab dude. Mustard Seed and Carved Pumpkin are what I used to create the sun rays. I wanted it to sort of look like a sunrise sunset type of thing. It's probably a little less orange than I thought it was going to be. you know, that sort of golden orangey kind of colour you get at sunsets, but that's fine. I used a bit of tumbled glass on the clouds, also just to define them so that it wasn't so, they weren't so lost in the background. Scattered straw, ironically, I used for the straw on the top here. And then antique linen I used for my sand. It's a great colour for sand, so that's what I, you know, that sort of really golden sand look. So I will stop talking now and let you guys actually watch how I put all of this together. So I will insert the bit where I coloured the images in, and then I will insert the bit after that of how I put the card together. So it will be super sped up, but I hope you enjoy and have a crafty day. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see more from me. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye!